Hello, 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 everyone. Ever wonder how the top marketers keep their content fresh after years and years? Discover the groundbreaking tools and strategies that are setting the pace for the future right now. So, hello and welcome again to Talking Business with Ritz, where we don't just talk about business, but we showcase the human behind the title before the offer. I am your host, Ritzel Loredo-Rectra, and today we're diving into the heart of innovation and content marketing. So, whether you're a budding entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, get ready to humanize your approach and transform your strategies with the latest breakthrough. Let's get started and make entrepreneurship relatable and real. All right, welcome back, everybody. Today, in our Know the Expert segment, I am thrilled to introduce a truly remarkable guest, Mark Herschberg. I hope I pronounced his name properly. Now, Mark is not only an esteemed MIT instructor, but also a seasoned speaker, author, and a visionary in the tech world, holding roles as a fractional CTO and CPO. We will ask him about that also later. So, Mark has a rich background in launching and developing new ventures, so not just in startups and the Fortune 500, but also in the academia. He is the brain behind the innovative Brain Bump app. Okay, it's an app, all right, designed to make your content stick and help audiences retain and utilize what they learn. It is a tool every content creator dreams of. Yes. Now, behind his professional accolades, Mark authored so-called the Career Toolkit Essential Skills for Success that no one taught you. All right, now sharing crucial skills that paved the way for professional success, his commitment is clear to empower individuals through education and innovation, helping us all become more effective learners and leaders. Who wouldn't want that, right? Now, Mark's approach aligns perfectly with our mission here to showcase the human behind the title before the offer. Today, he's here to share not just his expertise, but also his journey and insights into the future of content marketing. So let's give a warm welcome to, let me add him into the stage, Mark Herschberg. Hello, Mark. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Thank you for that, and thank you for the kind words of introduction.
All right, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, now let's move on. Let's find out more about the person behind the title. Are you ready, Mark?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Here we go. Now, let's start with the first question. Who is Mark Herschberg as a person?
I'm someone who, as I think about what I want to do with my life, it comes down to first my family and having a family, making sure they are the source of my joy and that I can provide and keep them happy, but then also making sure I have a larger impact on the world and that I can leave this world a better place than I found it. So I spend a lot of time thinking not just commercially about my companies and their success, but how at a larger level, even beyond the finance, even beyond the companies who I directly work with and for, how I can help many other people as broadly as possible. And that's what's led to the book and the app and some of the volunteer work that I do.
All right. Now, could you briefly let us know how did your path begin or began as an online entrepreneur?
I have a very interesting dual career. I grew up a classic 1980s nerd, loved all sorts of STEM stuff before it was cool, And I went on to study at MIT, where I did my undergraduate work and my graduate work. I graduated in the 1990s during the dot-com era and began as a software developer. It's a very common path for someone like me in that time. I realized early on that I wanted to become an executive, a CTO, a chief technology officer, and these days I'm a CTO, CPO. To achieve that goal, I recognized there were a number of skills I would need that no one taught me. Skills like leadership, networking, negotiating, communication. I had heard of these, but no one sat me down and said, here's how to do it. So I set out to develop these skills in myself. We didn't have a lot of online resources back then. As I went down that path, I realized these skills will help not only me, but everyone on my team. So I began to upskill my team. And now I went on, I have become a CTO, CPO. I've had a very successful career. But I recognized it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't just me, and then it was people on my team, and really everyone could benefit from this. MIT had gotten similar feedback from companies at this time saying, we want people with these skills, not just college grads, recent college grads, not just engineers, not just your students, everyone. And we can't find people like this. So MIT said, well, we need to create a class to address this gap. And as they were putting it together, I heard about that. I reached out. I said, maybe some of my content can help you. I'm happy to give it to you. I thought that would be it, but they said, no, not so fast. Please help us develop more content. So I stayed. I helped develop some more modules for them. I thought, okay, well, best of luck. And I said, nope, you're not leaving yet. We'd like you to stay and teach. And so I've been lucky enough for over 20 years to be teaching alongside world-class MIT professors, myself and other people like me. And I've created this dual career. I still have my job where I build tech companies as a fractional CTO, CPO. But then in parallel, I have the book, the one you mentioned, the Career Toolkit. I have the Brain Bump app. I have my corporate speaking. I have all this other educational content I put out to help people learn.
Wow. I love hearing about where my guests started. It helps us understand who they are today. Now, I have a follow-up question now. Could you share any takeaway or any lesson learned in your entrepreneurial journey?
There are so many, but I would say one of the most important is to understand what the value is you are delivering. So you need to understand the value to your customers, and that also comes from understanding how the value you create for your customer generates value for their customers or their use cases, where their customer, if it's a consumer good, might be for a family or other use. But really, you can't just say, well, I build X and people buy it. You need to understand how it is used and consumed and that entire value chain.
All right. That's interesting and very helpful. All right. Now it's time to have our lightning round of questions. Are you ready, Mark?
I'm ready.
Okay. First question. What is your favorite word and why?
That's a good one.
Yep.
Favorite word. It might be syzygy, which I think I just like because it is a scientific word. It's a word famous for having as the only vowel 3 Ys. So I think I'd have to go with that. I've never thought about my favorite word before.
Right. Syzygy. First time I heard that. Okay. What's the next question? What's the one thing you can't start your day without?
I would say water. I drink a lot of water throughout the day, morning, noon, and night, and that just fuels me.
All right. Early bird or night owl?
Definite night owl. Many engineers are known to be night people. I think better and am more productive at 10 p.m. than I am at 10 a.m.
Right. Now, what's one book that has significantly influenced your career?
I list a whole bunch of them on my website that we'll give you at the end of the show. One that I really appreciated was The Charisma Myth by Olivia Fox Caban. because it taught me that charisma can be learned. I never thought of myself as a charismatic person. And thanks to the lessons and tools in her book, I was able to develop skills that I think really helped me relate to other people.
Wow, that's an interesting book. All right, now here's one good question. If you are not doing what you're doing now, what profession would you be on?
I did want to be a physicist, and I did study physics at MIT, decided to go the computer science route, but I do sometimes miss and think, if only I'd gone to physics, could have worked on some really cool projects.
All right, this is interesting. Now, beach vacation or cities escape?
Definitely cities. I like learning, I like history, I like other cultures, meeting new people, expanding my mind. At a beach vacation, it's nice for maybe about 2 or 3 days, and then I'll get very bored.
Exactly. All right, are you a dog or a cat lover?
Cat lover by far. Absolutely adore cats. I went to New York's Meow Parlor, the first cat
Uh-huh.
cafe, on the day that it opened.
How many cats do you have?
I don't have any, unfortunately. I hope someday that will change. Growing up, we had 2 different cats.
Wow. All right, now, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
This comes from one of my favorite movies, Strictly Ballroom. A life lived in fear is a life half lived. We have to take risks.
Exactly. Do you believe in calculated risk or just take the risk, whatever kind of risk
Very
it is?
much calculated risk. I really think through what's the upside, what are the odds. Calculated risks are where it's at. The just go and take wild chances usually does not pay off well.
All right, next question. In 3 words, how would your friends describe you?
Intelligent, trustworthy,
Mhm.
kind.
Wow, very honest. Okay, what advice would you give your younger self?
STEM skills are fantastic and fun, but
Mhm.
also focus on the non-technical skills, the soft skills, because those
Yes.
really do matter for your success.
Indeed, indeed. All right, awesome. Now, Mark, I can't thank you enough for sharing those fantastic insight with us, those fun facts about yourself. And it's not every day we get to peel back the layers and see vibrant personality like yours behind an accomplished profession. So your openness really matters in this show. We truly highlight the human behind the title and exactly what we cherish on Talking Business with Ritz. All right, now it's time for the next part of our show. Before we continue, if you're liking what you see and what you're hearing, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And for those watching live, keep those questions coming for the Q&A session. All right, let's dive right into the next segment. All right, welcome back, amazing fambams, to learn from the expert segment. Now that we've gotten to know Mark Herschberg a bit better, it's time to dive into our first subtopic, which is evergreen content beyond email and social media. All right. Now, gone are the days when email blasts and social media posts were the be all and end all of content strategy. So, in a world where content quickly fades, let's uncover how to create messages that last and truly resonate. So, this discussion will transform our understanding of lasting impact in the digital space, and Mr. Mark here will be helping us to do it. So, Mark, what's the core principle of creating evergreen content that outlives trends?
The key isn't just the content, but the channel. So let's consider when you do have evergreen content, often we want to put out micro content, a tweet, a blog post, a video clip that we might have things like books or talks as well, but we'll pull out parts from them. And great services like yours can help us do it. But here's the key. Suppose I'm a leadership expert and it's Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock. So I post on social media, here's my leadership tip for the week. What happens? Well, half my audience doesn't see it. They're not on social media that day. They're busy. The audience that does see it, many of them say, yeah, that's a great tip, but I don't need it right now. That's not my leadership challenge. Leadership itself might not be a problem. I'm still at I need to raise money. I need to get customers. I need to hire people. And
Yeah.
6, 12 months from now, when I've done all that, now I have a team. Now I have a leadership challenge. But they're not going back and looking at what was it you said about leadership a year ago. They're certainly not going to remember it a year later because we just get blasted with all this content all day long. So forget the content, your emails, your social media, even blog posts, videos, things like podcasts, they're ordered chronologically so they fade. And that causes a problem because then you as a content creator, you had such great advice that you gave 3 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, no one's looking at. So then you either repost and some of your users get annoyed, oh, you're just repeating yourself,
Yeah.
or you don't and it gets lost. That's a problem. All these channels are set up not for evergreen content, but for chronological content. So what we need are new channels that will allow your audience to get your advice when and where it is most appropriate. And this way you can take your evergreen content, create it once, and have it delivered at exactly the right place and time. So the audience says, wow, your advice is just what I need. Your brand, you are so helpful to me. I love listening to you, following you. I trust your brand. And that's what we have to switch to. Now, there are new tools that can help us do it. And there are existing tools that we can use to help us use this nonlinear, non-chronological delivery channel.
Right. And we'll be talking more about that tool in our third topic. Now, Segway, can you share strategies for effective updating evergreen content to keep it engaging over time?
You can take your core set of evergreen content, and then what you can do is tie it into existing trends. So think about I think of like a Mr. Potato Head. This is a toy some of us might have played with as a kid, where you've got the core Mr. Potato Head, but then you just put on slightly different accoutrements. You put on the dressing in different ways. And that's what we want to do with our content. You have a core idea, and it's a good idea. It's an evergreen idea. How does that apply to the situations today? How does that apply, for example, in the last few years when we're suddenly working from home? How does it apply to corporate environments where we're now hybrid? How does it apply to a world where AI is now becoming more commonplace? But the core idea probably works in just slightly different applications in all these environments. And that's your job, is to just dress it up slightly differently so it doesn't feel like you're just repeating yourself, but you're helping people take your good idea and apply it to the situation they have at hand.
All right. Now, for those who are just starting content, right? Content creation. What do we really mean by evergreen content?
Evergreen content is advice that is going to last for a long time. So, for example, if I said, here's the current state of AI, we're recording this in the spring of 2024, and I can give you the accurate state of AI, but 6 months from now, that advice would be out of date. And certainly a year or two from now, you're going to say, I don't want to hear that. That is so old. If we're talking about, for example, what to do when you have to suddenly send all your employees home because of a virus, well, that's a little dated as well. On the other hand, when we talk about here are techniques to help you hire the best people, here's the right way to lead, here's how to make sure when you're talking to your employees or your customers, you're hearing their needs, they're hearing yours. That advice was good 10 years ago. It's good today. It'll be good 10 years from now. That's what we call evergreen. It's timeless content that will hold up in multiple years and situations.
All right. Now, anytime it's still relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can have both. When I write blog posts, a lot of my topics are evergreen. This advice applies today and it will apply equally well years from now. But then sometimes I'll write about a current event. We'll say, well, okay, that event, it's going to go away. And that's okay. This is just more timely content. I'm going to treat it differently from how I treat my evergreen content because 3 years from
Mhm.
now, I still want you to see my evergreen content. The timely content, I'll have new, now relevant timely content in 3 years, not the old stuff.
Wow, interesting. All right. Those were fantastic information, Mark. Now, um, because of that, we already know what is an evergreen content. We are now ready to shift our focus to a topic that's just as crucial in the fast-paced world of digital marketing. So, which you've touch based also earlier, is the timing placement. So we master the micro content. So, um, could you tell us again or explain again what exactly is micro content and why the timing and placement are very critical in today's content landscape?
Micro content, that's the smallest level of content you can get. So that might be a social media post, which could be anywhere from a handful of words to a couple sentences, maybe even a couple paragraphs. And that's why it kind of blurs into blogs a bit. A 3,000 word blog post, I wouldn't call micro content, but a 400 word blog post, maybe. It's a blurry line. It could be an image, it could be an audio clip, it could be a short video clip. Social media is primarily micro content. So it's just small, quick bite, consumable content. And that's what's dominating a lot of people's content consumption these days. This interview we're doing right now, it's long form because we're going to be going 45 minutes to an hour,
Yeah.
but we may chop it up. You might pull out video clips or quotes that qualify as micro content. So I'm not saying just focus on micro content, focus on creating good content. And often when you create long form content from longer term videos, writing, even books and talks, you can generate multiple pieces of micro content from that. Now, the key, because social media, we think about that social media feed, and we just get constantly one thing after another, and people do the doom scrolling. This is where your information gets lost in the noise because they see your micro content along with 50, 100 other pieces of micro content, and it's hard for you to stand out. So everyone's trying to do new things. Oh, let me do the dance of the week on TikTok. Let me try to put some music to it. Let me do something to stand out. And it's exhausting, it's inefficient. But if we could deliver the right micro content to the right person at the right time, that's where you get resonance because that's when someone's in market for that information and you're going to have higher acceptance, higher retention of the content, and they'll associate that with your brand.
That makes sense, Mark. Now, what are some effective strategies for actually determining the best placement for micro content across different platforms?
The key is finding what I call pull media, not push media. Unfortunately, most social media, as well as podcast channels, as well as email, this is all push media because the content creator says, I am going to push this out at this specific time. And then it's going to hit everyone and just hope that it lands with a couple people. And you can't tell what person is in the right mindset for which piece of content. And so we just throw it out and know, well, it's going to work with a tiny handful of people. What we really need are newer channels where people can say, I need this content today. Here's a simple example. We're going to talk more about some newer versions, but here's a simple example of what you can do with current channels. I have a blog, and you can see this on my book's website. I have a blog. Now, the blog is ordered chronologically. I do put out articles every week, and I'll post it to social media. But when you go to the blog, you can also see it not by time, but by topic. Many CMS systems, many blog systems have tagging. And so you can go to my website and say, right now I need networking help. I really want to work on my networking. And so you hit the topic networking. It's going to show you all the networking articles I've written, not just, oh, well, that article's from 2 years ago. Let me show you more recent stuff from different topics. That's not what you need, because you're not looking at the hiring or the communications right now. You're saying networking. So when you select that tag, it only pulls content for that topic. You have now told me what is relevant to you, and my system will deliver it. So you can already do this with your existing CMS system.
All right. Now, how can businesses adapt quickly if their initial timing and placement strategy for micro content isn't working?
It's important to keep your micro content organized. So many people just, oh, let me post on social media this afternoon. Here's a post. A few days later, here's another post. And you're just throwing out kind of what's on top of your head. I recommend being more intentional with your content strategy. So create a set of your micro content. Now, again, you might generate micro content directly, or you might take your long form content and extract micro content from it, but then you want to organize it. A simple way to do this, put all in a spreadsheet. Say, here in the spreadsheet now, here's where you might put the quotes, or you put a link to a video clip that you've saved off in a file, or a link to an audio clip. And so now you have this whole organization. Here again, I'd say also note the topic. Here's my advice on leadership. Here's my advice on negotiating. Here's my advice on content marketing. Whatever topics you happen to cover, keep some organization to it. And of course, any piece of content might fall into more than one category. And now you have it organized, and you can think, what do I want to be talking about? This may be because you say, well, there's a trend right now. Everyone's talking about leadership. Okay, I'm going to pull in my pre-created micro content to tie into the news cycle. Or you might think, I've been talking a lot about leadership and communication lately. I want to switch gears and talk more about hiring and fundraising. So this way you can better manage and strategize about your content, instead of just, what do I feel like posting? What's in my mind tonight?
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes, but normally that is what the advice of almost, I mean, not almost all, but some of the, the influencers right now just post whatever, the lifestyle post, the behind the scene post. Normally, mostly it's like we are bombarded with all those kind of posting. So doesn't really get any like much value in it, but then it's attracting a lot of attention.
It does indeed, if you have planned it so you get that resonance. If you're just throwing it out randomly, you're probably going to have less success.
Right. Those are tremendous value bombs there. Mark, our conversation on micro content timing placement is very incredibly enlightening. I'm learning a lot actually right now. But then let's shift gears to another transformative aspect of content strategy, which is the technologies, especially or specifically, let's discuss your innovative tool, which is called BrainBump, and how it's revolutionizing content creation. So our third topic right now is BrainBump, just like I said, revolutionizing content. All right. Now, could you start by telling us what inspired you to develop BrainBump and what unique challenges it addresses for content creators? What is BrainBump first?
BrainBump is a completely free app available on the Android and iPhone stores. We take content from books, blogs, podcasts, classes, and talks. We take that micro content. So think a few lines. If it's a book, it's the things you would highlight in a book. If it's an interview, it would be the audio clip that you pull from the interview, those key takeaway points. Those all go into the app. The app itself is like a cross between a flashcard app and a daily affirmation app. So you have all this content, all these great ideas, the key takeaways from all this content, they go into the app. And then you can use it in one of two modes. One is just in time. So, for example, there are networking tips in my book. Where do you read those tips? Sitting at home. Where do you need those tips? 2 months later, you're at a conference saying, oh, I need those networking tips. And you probably forgot them. So imagine you are in the lobby of the hotel about to walk into the conference. You're thinking, I want those tips. You pull out your phone, you open the app, and you tap networking. You say, I want networking tips. And there's all the networking tips, either from my book or
Mhm.
from someone else's book or from all of our books together or our books and podcasts. Anything marked networking, you will get. So you pull up the content just as you need it. It's always timely and relevant. Or you might say, I've read this book or I'm listening to this podcast or taking this class, and I know I want to retain this. We know we have trouble retaining. This is why we've used flashcards, for example, when we had to study for tests. But we're adults. We don't have tests. So who's going to take the time to study? This is where that daily affirmation feature comes in. So what you can do is set a type of content and you set the time and frequency when you want to receive it. You don't even have to open the app to get it. So imagine I'm a new manager. There's so much I'm trying to remember. What I want is every day at 9 a.m., I want to get a little notification on my phone with a management tip. Just 9 a.m. every day, it pops up. Don't even open the app. I look at it, I say, oh, great tip, swipe it away. It takes me 2 seconds a day, but it helps me remember, retain, and use the information I've been learning. I might then set up, I've got a strategy meeting every Wednesday at 3 p.m. So I'm going to get a strategy tip at 2:45 p.m., exactly when I need it. And then let's say I have a terrible marriage and I'm trying to get marriage help and I'm reading these marriage advice books. I want to get that tip at 6 p.m. because that's right as I walk in the door and now need to focus on my spouse. The key
Yeah.
is that if I get the marriage advice at 11 in the morning, my brain would say, good advice, but not now. I have meetings, I have emails, I don't need it. And if I got the management tip at 7 at night, my brain would say, yeah, good advice, but I need to focus on my spouse, my kids, and you forget by the next morning. So what
Mm.
the app does, it lets the content consumer, that's the app user, can say, I need this advice at this time, that advice at a different time, and they can pull the right advice so it is always timely and relevant. And every time they see the advice, they see your brand. They see your name, they see your brand, they see your cover image, and they can hyperlink to it. So we continually recycle your evergreen content.
Wow. So, meaning, if I'm understanding you correctly, if I'm the content creator, right, I'm gonna load my content in there and push it out to
That's right.
the.
You as a content creator, you'll take your micro content. We make it very easy. You can just put it on a spreadsheet and upload it. Now, this takes, depending on how much content you have, it can take
Mhm.
anywhere. Some people can do this in a matter of minutes because they have their content organized. Some, it might take 2 hours, for example, to take what's in your book and extract it. Many people use virtual assistants or other tools to do that. But
Yeah.
once you've done that, so there's a little upfront work, but once you've done that, you are done. Unlike social media, where I have to every week or every day think, oh, I have to post again, I never have to go back and do anything. The tips from my book were loaded into the app years ago. I never do anything because the app is constantly redelivering the content to different people every day that's relevant with no effort on my part. And so my advice from years ago, from my blog, from my book, continues to be delivered in new ways to new people, and old people just want to keep hearing it again with
Mhm.
no effort.
All right. And then you mentioned a while ago that we can hyperlink the content where they can then, when they like, they're interested to know more, they click on the link and then it will bring them to a browser to your website and all that stuff.
So each one of the tips shown in the app, it is shown with the tip, it's shown with the source. So it might be the book, the podcast, the class that comes from. So the
Yeah.
name of it. For example, with a book, it will have the name of the book and your name as the author. If it's a
Yes.
podcast or a blog, it would have the title of the episode and the
Yeah.
title of the podcast or the blog, but they're all hyperlinked. Now, for a book, we're just hyperlinking to the website. But imagine for a blog post or a podcast with the title of the episode or the article, we hyperlink back to that episode or article. And now we can hyperlink to Apple or Spotify or a
Yeah.
page on your website, whatever URL you choose. But now, from the user's perspective, as an app user, I see some content, say, oh, wow, that is great advice. I want to understand a little more. I want to get examples. I want to go a little deeper into it. The user can now click that hyperlink and instantly they go to your website, your podcast episode, your content, which might be from 2 days ago, 2 months ago, or 2 years ago, because we're not ordered by time. And so
Yeah.
we're driving traffic to your evergreen back catalog, again, with no effort on your part.
Wow. That is a game changer. I'm gonna can't wait for this episode to finish. I'm gonna download the app. I'm gonna try it. All right, now so I'm not sure if I'm gonna ask this question. So how does Brain Bump integrate with the user's existing content creation tools? What makes it seamless addition to their workflow? So you've mentioned the spreadsheet, right? If uh, I believe it's a CSV file where we can upload it to that app. Is there any other way, like any other integration from an existing tool that we can use to upload content into that app?
Today, so this is spring of 2024, we have a couple means to do it. If you are a
Oh,
content creator, an author, speaker, blogger, podcaster, you can enter tips one at a time if you wish, or you can put them into an Excel spreadsheet and upload. To get them into the Excel spreadsheet, again, some people do it themselves, some use virtual assistants. Many people use tools, especially for things like podcasts, that can automatically extract content. So, Pod Intelligence, for example, is a great tool that will just take your raw audio file or video file and it will pull out, here are the quotes, here are the video clips that will be relevant for your social media posts, but it will also generate that file for Brain Bump as well. So, it makes it easy. And then some people are using different types of AI. Now, we haven't directly integrated with AI for two reasons. One, AI is evolving very rapidly.
oh, exactly.
Two,
Yes.
it's not quite there yet. And so, if you do take AI and give it, for example, a transcript from your podcast, it's going to kind of get the right content, but not exactly. For example, if you say, give me the right quotes, it might take two sentences when it really should have taken two plus a third. Or it takes two, but really should have just been one. And you'll have to do some editing. And we haven't yet built all those editing interfaces. That will happen over time. But you can certainly take AI yourself and use it to very efficiently extract the content. If you are
Right.
an app user,
Mhm.
you can also add your own tips. So the content creators, when you're an author or a blogger or a podcaster, you put your content on there and it is free for everyone on the app. We know there's millions of books and podcasts and we don't yet have them all. So if you're an app user and you say, well, you don't have the book I want or the podcast I want, you yourself on the app can add your own content just for you. You can add it manually, or if you read Kindle books, our first integration, if you read Kindle books and you have Kindle highlights, we can import your Kindle highlight file and you get all your Kindle highlights turned into these tip cards. So they're not just sitting in a file you never look at, they're then displayed
Oh,
to you
interesting.
with that daily affirmation feature or in a way you can pull it up quickly. So that's our first integration, and we're going to be adding more integrations in the coming months.
Wow, that's a very, very interesting. And this will allow creators to be really proactive rather than reactive in content strategies, in their content strategies. Wow. This is an amazing, fantastic live expert interview we have today. I'm very glad that we're talking right now because um, it's going to be a game changer. Not I'm seeing it also that it's going to be effective not only for leaders, not only for online entrepreneurs. Um, it can be very useful for students as well, right? So I'm glad because I have a student here at home. Definitely, this one can we can use this one. All right, now thank you for a great learn from the expert segment right now. Can't help but to give you a very loud applause. All right. Now, we do have a couple of questions that I've mentioned earlier in backstage. I have collated a couple of questions like, this is one. This there. Is there a difference in approach when creating evergreen content for B2B versus B2C? B2B, business to business, and business to customer or to client.
I wouldn't say there's significant difference. The main differences would be twofold. First, there just might be different seasonality or cycles. Certainly with consumer content, you can imagine we have these cycles like it's back to school, people are out of school, it's the holiday shopping season, it's a new year, people do resets, things like that. For B2B, there might be seasonality in a given industry, and you want to tie into that. The other thing about B2B is people might be more willing to take longer form content. So, for example, consumers, we generally, as consumers, just have very limited attention spans. And it's really about catching someone's attention and hooking them quickly. When you're
Yep.
doing B2B, I've done a lot of B2B lead generation, B2B marketing. When I'm thinking about making a purchase and it is tens of thousands of dollars,
Yep.
I'm going to put in more time. And consumers, by the way, when they make such a purchase for a car or a house, they will put in the time. But most consumers are not spending $10,000 on a regular basis. In the B2B world, it's much more common that people spend 4, 5, 6, 7 figures multiple times a year. And so they'll put in the time and effort, individuals or teams, and can read white papers, can read longer form content, or go a little deeper. It's why we have these hour-long sales meetings that no consumer would otherwise sit through. But in the business world, we do. The concept of creating evergreen content, I think, holds. It's just that you can get away with slightly longer form content in the B2B space. But even then, you can take that longer content and generate the micro content from it as well, so you have both.
All right. Now I'm trying to review the questions that I have offline, but most of them had already been asked or had already been answered all throughout the Learn from the Expert. But
Glad
all
we've
right.
been able to address so many questions.
Yes, yes, you did. So this one, is there a feature within BrainBump that helps predict future trends in content topics?
Great question. For content creators, we give you analytics on the back end.
Oh,
Now,
we
I
have
should note
analytics.
that my background is in cybersecurity. I take privacy very seriously. As an app user, you can use the app without telling us anything about you. There is no login required, no sign up, no credit card, no nothing. We have no idea who you are, and that's fine. If as an app user you say, I want to add my own content, I want my own notes, then we do ask for your email because we have to create a login for you and track what's your content versus her content. On the back end, when you are a content creator, we give you insights into how your content is being used. We show you there's favorites, so people can favorite certain tips, and you can see for your tips which tips have been favorited and how much. And then there's an amazing social share feature on the app. I didn't talk about this earlier. We know people like to share tips. We know they like to share quotes. Often when they share a quote from you, they will just say, "Oh, here's a good quote." And if you're lucky, they might include your name. We
Yeah.
have an amazing social share feature that when they say, "I want to share this," we give them this great interface that lets them share your tip. They can change the font and the color and the sizing and the layout, but it always has your content. It always has your cover image, always has your name with it. So your brand is there. And then if you, as a content creator, give us onto the platform your social media handles, which most do, we let the person sharing your content tag you so you
Mm-hmm.
can be part of that conversation. So as your content gets shared, you can see what's being shared and you can engage. Now, even if they don't tag you or you didn't want to give us your social media handle, we also track how often your content, each tip, has been shared. So on the back end, you have these great analytics that show how often your content is being downloaded by app users, how often individual tips are being favorited and shared, and you can rank that by popularity. Now, if you have a book, well, your book doesn't change. I know what tips are popular in my book, and great, nice to know some are popular, some are not, but that's
Yeah.
it. I don't change my book. But for blogs, for podcasts, for other content that comes out regularly, you can look and say, well, this is what's really resonating with people. Here's what they're favoriting. I want to do more of that. So you can see these trends and then you can adjust to those trends.
Interesting. Yes. Thank you so much, Mark, for sharing your valuable insights with us. And now let's continue. For the interest of time, let's continue on to the next segment. Here we go. All right, welcome back, fantastic Bams. I'm enjoying this interview today, this discussion with Mark, and it has been truly insightful. All right. Now, each point today has underscored the need for strategy, innovation, and smart tool integration in our content efforts. So I'm excited to see how we all can implement these insights to elevate our content strategy. So much takeaways in this live expert interview. And now, as we move into our next segment, which is work with the expert, this is a great opportunity for everyone to tuning in today to discover how you can directly benefit from Mark's incredible tools and insight and how can you work with Mark himself. Now, Mark, please tell us about the services you offer and how our listeners can connect with you to take their content strategies to the next level.
My services are primarily as a fractional CTO CPO, which is probably not as relevant for this audience. But I'm going to give you 3 websites where you can gain access to these tools and information. The first is my book's website, thecareertoolkitbook.com. That's if you're interested in the book, in the skills in the book, networking, leadership, negotiating, communications. You can go to that website. You can see where to buy the book, get in touch with me. There's a number of free resources. And you can check out the blog and see what I did with the tagging and the content topics so you can do it yourself. Now that's at thecareertoolkitbook.com. For the content marketing that we've been talking about, I have a second website, Cognosco Media, COGNOSCO media.com. And at Cognosco Media, you can listen to other interviews I've done. You can also read blog posts on content marketing, the future of content, the future of media. And I have a whole sub-segment on podcasting. I've been a guest on over 400 podcasts, and you can learn everything I did about how to find them, how to get on them, how to recycle that content and get the most out of it. So great podcasting sub-segment, but all of that is at cognoscomedia.com, COGNOSCO.media.com. The final website is for Brain Bump. Now, we mentioned the Brain Bump app is absolutely free for everyone, content creators, content consumers. It is free on both the Android and iPhone stores. You can also go to brainbumpapp.com. That's our website, brainbumpapp.com. And if you go there, you can follow links to the stores to download the free app. There's a 90-second video showing how the app works. We have a whole FAQ section and instructions on the page if you want to go deeper. And if you are a content creator and you're thinking, I want to get my content on this app so my audience can better retain and use what I'm teaching them while elevating my brand and its retention, at the bottom of brainbumpapp.com, there is a form. You click it, 30-second form, tell us your name, your website, a little about you, and we'll be in touch to discuss having your content on BrainBump. So that's at brainbumpapp.com.
All right. Is there an email that we can like display on the screen so they can like if they want to email you?
The best thing to do is go to those websites. They all have a contact link, and just click that and then fill out the contact form. Or for content creators, you can fill out that content creator form.
All right, Key. Now, it's been a pleasure, Mark, having you on the Talking Business with Ritz. Your insights have not only enlightened us, but have also provided some actionable strategies in our Learn from the Expert segment that our audience can start implementing right away. And also, thank you for sharing your expertise and for the innovative tools that you've developed to support content creators. I hope you create more. We are all richer for having learned from you today. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks for having me on the show.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Herschberg. All right, and to our viewers, thank you for joining us today. I hope you found the episode as enriching as I did, and that you're living with new ideas that will transform your approach to content marketing. So remember, the key to growth is continual learning and adaptation. So keep pushing the boundaries and of what you can achieve with your content. So for those of you who are watching, if you're inspired by Mark's messages or insights today and want to learn more about how you can work with him to unlock your potential and live your bigger mission, be sure to check out the websites that it's been running down there. All right. And connect with him or download the app called BrainBomb. Right. All right, my fam bam, thank you very much for tuning in today to another episode of Talking Business with Ritz. Remember, the journey to success is all about embracing the risk and growing through challenges and celebrating every step of the way. All right, now, next on Talking Business with Ritz, our next episode is something special, a topic that not many people in the entrepreneurial space talks about. Our guest speaker next Saturday is coming from the health and wellness space. All right. And mark your calendar on 18th May, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and 10 a.m. Central. And of course, if you're in Asia, it's 11 p.m. Singapore, Malaysia, or Australia. And let's go back to here, and that wraps up for today's episode. Where is my outro? Okay, so if you find this helpful and entertaining, please hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more inspiring episodes. Stay safe and healthy, everybody. Until next time, keep striving and keep thriving. Have a great day, everyone, and see you in the next episode. This is Ritzel, Loredo-Rectra, and our expert guest, Mark Herschberg, and continue talking business with Ritz. See you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.